Welcome back to the Professor Insight podcast, the space where we explore the intersection of artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and emerging technology, and turn it into something practical for your business, your strategy, and your everyday thinking. I'm your host, Professor Billy. As always, a quick note before we begin. This podcast is fully powered by AI tools, from content creation to script writing and voice generation. And yes, what you're hearing right now is a voice clone of me, brought to life with full human oversight and manual curation. Now, today's episode is a shift in tone. We're not talking about the bright, shiny promise of generative AI, the breakthroughs, the productivity gains, or the creative collaborations. Instead, we're turning the spotlight towards something less comfortable but critically important, the darker side of GenAI. We're unpacking how this technology is being misused right now in the real world. Not hypotheticals, not future threats, but actual cases that have already happened. At the center of this episode is a new paper out of a Google DeepMind research team titled Generative AI Misuse, a taxonomy of tactics and insights from real-world data. Based on 191 reported incidents between January 2023 and March 2024, the paper gives us a rare, evidence-based window into how GenAI is being exploited across text, image, video, and audio. And spoiler alert, it's not just bad actors in basements or shadowy state hackers. Many of these misuses are simple, low-tech, and disturbingly easy for everyday users to pull off. We'll take you through a structured look at how people are using GenAI to impersonate voices, create fake news, generate non-consensual imagery, and manipulate public opinion. We'll talk about tactics like sock puppeting, falsification, deepfake scams, and scaling disinformation. And we'll look at how some actors are even attacking the models themselves, injecting prompts, jailbreaking filters, or poisoning datasets. But beyond the tactics, we'll dig into the motivations. From fraud and political manipulation to harassment and profiteering, the incentives behind misuse are as old as the internet. But the scale, speed, and believability GenAI brings to the table are new and deeply disruptive. This is an episode about understanding where the risks are. It's about staying one step ahead in a rapidly changing landscape and recognizing that the same tools that empower can also deceive. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Depth Dive. We try to cut through the noise on complex topics, really getting into the source material to pull out what you need to know.
To be properly informed.
Exactly. And today we're tackling something absolutely massive right now. Generative AI. I mean, you hear about it everywhere.
Constantly.
The potential seems incredible, right? Writing articles, creating images, code, music. It feels like it's changing everything, whole industries.
It really does feel like a pivotal moment. The capabilities are just astounding.
There's always a but, isn't there? With something this powerful, this rapidly deployed, there's the flip side, the potential for misuse.
That's the crux of it, yeah. Where you have this immense creative power, you also have almost inevitably the power to create harm if someone decides to use it that way, maliciously.
And that's really what we want to get into today, not just the future hypothetical risks, the sci-fi stuff.
Right, not the Terminator scenarios just yet.
Not yet, hopefully. But the practical reality. What's happening now with GenAI misuse?
Exactly, because it is happening now. And understanding how it's actually playing out is critical.
So for this deep dive, we've looked at the existing research, and we've really focused on one pretty significant study.
A really useful one.
It documented nearly 200 real-world cases of generative AI misuse. These were observed over a specific time frame, basically from January 2023 up to March 2024. So quite recent.
And that's key, isn't it? Because it moves beyond the lab demonstrations, the proof of concepts you see in research papers,
right,
and looks at actual documented incidents out there in the wild. People actually using these tools to cause harm. It gives us a proper empirical look at the threat landscape as it stands today.
Yeah, a real-world baseline. So our mission today for you listening is to pull out the most important insights from that real-world data. We're focusing on the tactics people are using.
How they're doing it.
Exactly. And crucially, their goals. Why are they doing it? What are they trying to achieve?
The how and the why.
By the end of this, the idea is you'll have a much clearer, maybe more actionable picture of the risks, especially how they relate to business.
So you can be better informed, maybe a bit better prepared, because this stuff is moving fast.
It really is. Knowing what the adversary is up to, what tools they have,
Yeah.
that's always step one for defense, right?
Absolutely. And GenAI is changing the playbook.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Before we dive into the misuse, let's just quickly level set. What exactly is generative AI?
Good place to start. So at its core, generative AI, or GenAI, it's a type of, well, a category of large-scale machine learning models.
Okay.
And these things are trained on just unbelievable amounts of data. Think text, billions of images, code libraries, audio, video, just massive data sets.
Huge.
What makes them generative, what makes them different from older AI, is that they don't just analyze or categorize data that already exists. They can actually create new content.
Ah, the creation part is key.
Totally. They synthesize something novel, content that often looks, sounds, or reads incredibly realistically, very coherently. It's learned patterns from all that data, and now it can generate new examples based on those patterns.
So less like a search engine finding stuff, more like a creative assistant?
Yeah, or think of it like a superpowered digital artist or a writer, or maybe even a composer or filmmaker. It takes your instruction, your prompt, and generates something new. A paragraph, an image, a voice, maybe even a short video clip.
Right.
Models like GPT, Gemini, DLE, Sora, that's what they do.
Got it. So it's about creating new stuff based on learned patterns. And that generative power is the real magic and maybe the real danger.
Precisely.
Now, let's talk misuse. When this study talks about GenAI misuse, what are they actually counting? How do they define it?
Right, definitions matter here. They were pretty specific. They defined misuse as the deliberate use of these GenAI tools
Deliberate. Okay.
by people or organizations to facilitate actions that cause harm. So it's not the AI going rogue on its own or making an honest mistake.
Right, not just an error or a weird output.
No, this is about a person, an actor, intentionally using the AI as a tool, or maybe leveraging its capabilities to achieve a harmful end result.
And does that include attacking the AI itself?
Yes. Interestingly, their definition also covered attacks aimed at the GenAI systems. Things like trying to break them or steal data from them. We can get into that distinction a bit later.
Okay, so deliberate harm, either using the AI or targeting the AI system. What kind of harms are we talking about? Is it just financial stuff?
Oh, it's broad. It could be financial loss, absolutely, like fraud, but also reputational damage, disinformation campaigns, psychological harm like harassment, or even undermining things like democratic processes. The key is that intent to cause some kind of negative outcome.
Okay. And what didn't count as misuse, according to their definition, what was excluded?
That's also important. They specifically excluded harms that come from the AI's own limitations. When there wasn't a specific malicious person involved pulling the strings.
Like what?
Well, like if a language model hallucinates, makes something up and states it confidently as fact.
Yeah, we hear about that a lot.
Right. If that happens just because the model's training data was incomplete or got confused, and nobody deliberately used that hallucination to trick someone or cause harm, that wasn't counted as misuse in this study. That's more of an inherent flaw or limitation of the current tech.
Okay, so the AI just being wrong sometimes isn't misuse unless someone weaponizes that wrongness.
Exactly. Same goes for bias. If an AI produces biased results because its training data was skewed, that's a huge problem, a massive ethical issue.
Definitely.
But it's not necessarily misuse in this specific sense unless an actor deliberately exploits that bias to, say, target a specific group unfairly. The study's focus was really on the intentional, malicious action by a human, where GenAI is the tool or the target.
Got it. That distinction between inherent flaws and deliberate weaponization is really crucial. Okay, so the study took these nearly 200 cases of deliberate misuse and started categorizing the tactics. They found two main buckets.
That's right. Based on analyzing all those real-world incidents, the tactics seem to fall into two broad categories. First, what they called exploiting the capabilities of GenAI.
Okay, using what the AI can do.
Exactly. Using its power to create realistic content or scale up operations or automate tasks, but for harmful purposes.
And the second category?
The second was compromising the GenAI systems themselves. So attacks aimed directly at the AI model or its training data or the underlying infrastructure, hacking the AI, essentially.
Explaining capabilities versus compromising the system. And looking at the actual incidents they tracked from early 23 to early 24, did one of those stand out as more common?
Oh, absolutely. And this is probably the single biggest takeaway for anyone worried about the immediate practical threats right now. The vast majority of the documented cases they found fell into that first category. exploiting the capabilities of existing GenAI tools.
So people using the tools, not breaking the tools.
Pretty much. Attacks directly targeting or compromising the AI systems themselves. They were much, much less common in the observed real-world incidents. You see more of that kind of thing in research papers where people are deliberately testing vulnerabilities.
That's fascinating and really important, especially if you're running a business.
Definitely.
It suggests the immediate, widespread threat isn't necessarily, some super sophisticated cyber attack trying to break into your company's custom AI model, if you even have one.
All right. That's a concern for some, but maybe not the primary one for most right now.
The clear and present danger, based on this data, seems to be malicious actors just using the readily available AI tools, the ones anyone can access,
Often easily.
and using them to make old attacks like phishing or scams just way better.
Yeah.
Faster, cheaper, more believable.
That's exactly what the data suggests. The immediate defensive posture for most organizations probably needs to focus less on sort of the theoretical ways someone might hack an AI's core,
Yeah.
and more on how do we detect and defend against the incredibly realistic, high-volume, harmful outputs and applications that GenAI enables through these public interfaces.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's dive deep into that first category then. Exploiting GenAI capabilities. Since that's where most of the action is happening right now, why? What makes these capabilities so appealing for bad actors to exploit?
Well, there are a few key features of modern GenAI that make it almost irresistible for misuse. First and foremost is the realism. The ability to generate text, images, audio, and increasingly video. That is just incredibly hard, sometimes impossible, for a person to distinguish from the real thing, from human-created content or actual recordings.
Deepfakes, basically.
Deepfakes are a prime example, yeah. But it applies to text, too. Perfectly fluent, contextually appropriate, human-sounding text. Think of it like having the world's best forger, but one who works across text, image, voice, maybe soon video, and can mimic almost any style or create totally believable fictions from scratch. That's a game changer for deception.
Yeah, if you can't trust your eyes or ears, that's a
A
problem.
fundamental problem.
Yeah.
And it's getting easier and easier to create these convincing fakes. Which leads to the second point, scale and efficiency.
Doing it big and fast.
Exactly. Once you have a model that can produce this realistic output, you can generate it at a massive scale incredibly quickly and often very, very cheaply.
Right.
Instead of needing, say, 100 people writing phishing emails or a team of graphic designers creating fake ads or actors recording scam voice messages, one person prompting an AI can potentially generate thousands, even millions of variations in a short amount of time. For pennies, essentially.
Wow, it's like having this infinitely scalable workforce of digital counterfeiters.
That's a great way to put it. An army of forgers, writers, actors working 24/7. It just drastically lowers the barrier to entry for launching large-scale malicious campaigns. And it floods the online world with harmful content.
So it's not just that the fakes are good, it's that there can be so many of them.
Correct. And the third big factor here is availability and ease of use.
Meaning anyone can do it.
Increasingly, yes. While the underlying AI models are incredibly complex, the way we interact with them, chat interfaces like ChatGPT, simple web forms for image generators, APIs for developers, they're often designed to be super user-friendly.
Yeah, you don't need a PhD in computer science.
Not at all. You don't need deep technical skills to start generating pretty sophisticated fake text or images or even clone a voice from a short audio sample these days. Many powerful tools are free or low cost.
So it democratizes the capability.
It does. It puts these advanced content generation capabilities, which would have been state-level resources just a few years ago, into the hands of basically anyone with an internet connection, a much, much wider range of potential bad actors.
Okay, so realism, scale, and accessibility. That's a potent mix for misuse. Let's get into the specifics then. What were the most common tactics the study found within this exploiting capabilities category? And let's keep linking it back to, what does this mean for businesses?
Right. So one of the biggest clusters of tactics they observed involved the manipulation of human likeness, using AI to create or mess with depictions of people.
Okay, dealing with people's images or voices.
Exactly. And the study broke this down into three sort of related sub-tactics: impersonation, appropriated likeness, and sock puppeting.
Impersonation, appropriated likeness, sock puppeting. Can you walk us through the differences there?
Sure. Let's start with impersonation. This is using GenAI to pretend to be a specific real person.
Okay, acting as someone else.
Right. And often taking actions as them, maybe in real-time interactions.
Yeah.
Using AI to mimic their voice, maybe their appearance in a video call, or even their writing style, to trick someone into believing they're dealing with that actual individual.
Like the example you hear about with fake voice calls.
Exactly. A really stark example from the study's time frame was that AI-generated robocall that sounded like President Biden.
Ah, yeah, telling people not to vote in a primary.
Precisely. The goal there was clear deception. Make voters think the real president was saying this to influence their actions. Pure impersonation for political manipulation.
That's terrifying for democracy, but you can immediately see how that same technique translates to business crime.
Oh, absolutely. And the study had a chilling business example. Remember that case of the finance worker at a multinational company?
The one who transferred millions.
That's the one. Transferred $25 million based on instructions he received during a video conference call. Why? Because AI deepfakes were used on that call to impersonate multiple senior executives he knew, his CFO, other leaders.
Multiple people on one call.
Yes, creating this incredibly convincing, high-pressure situation where he genuinely believed he was following legitimate orders from the top.
Wow, that just takes business email compromise to a whole new terrifying level. Forget fake emails, now it's fake video calls with your boss.
It adds this layer of audio-visual believability that can bypass a lot of traditional checks if people aren't prepared for it, which highlights the need for new kinds of training and verification.
Definitely. Okay, so that's impersonation, pretending to be a specific real person.
Yeah.
What about appropriated likeness?
Right. Appropriated likeness is a bit different. It's about using or altering a real person's likeness, their image, their voice, other features, but usually in a static way or not in a real-time interaction.
So not pretending to be them live, but using their image or voice.
Exactly. Generating, say, an image or an audio clip that depicts a real person, but maybe puts them in a situation they weren't in, or makes them appear to say something they never said. You're appropriating their likeness for your own purpose without trying to have a conversation as them.
Okay, like photoshopping someone, but with AI.
Kind of, yeah, but potentially much more seamless and scalable. An example they mentioned was altering photos of those protesting Indian wrestlers, making them look like they were smiling during their protest, presumably to undermine their message or change the narrative.
Ah, manipulating the visual record.
Precisely. Or creating fake audio clips of a politician saying something inflammatory. This is often used for defamation, right? Creating fake, embarrassing, or damaging content featuring a real person to harm their reputation.
And for businesses, how does this play out?
It's a significant risk for brand reputation and personnel security. Imagine attackers creating fake, compromising images or audio of your CEO or other key employees.
Yeah, that could be devastating.
Or generating fake video testimonials using an employee's likeness without their consent. Or deepfake pornography targeting employees, which falls under NCII, but uses this technique. It's about weaponizing someone's image or voice against them or the company. Undermines trust instantly.
Okay, serious reputation risk. And the third one was sock puppeting. That sounds different again.
It is. Sock puppeting is using GenAI to create entirely fake online personas, synthetic identities.
So not based on a real person at all.
Generally not. These are completely fabricated accounts. They might have AI-generated profile pictures that look like real people, but aren't. They have AI-written bios, maybe backstories, interests, all designed to make them seem like independent, authentic individuals online.
Like creating fake people from scratch.
Exactly. And the goal is usually to use these fake personas to manipulate online discussions, push a certain narrative, artificially inflate the popularity of something, or interact deceptively with real users.
Like propaganda bots, but maybe more convincing.
Potentially, yes. The study mentioned examples like networks of AI-generated accounts found defending controversial events or figures online, trying to sway public opinion, or amplifying certain political messages.
Oh, in many ways. Think about fake customer reviews. An attacker could use an army of AI sock puppets to flood Amazon or Yelp with glowing reviews for their own shoddy product, or conversely, trash a competitor with negative ones.
Manipulating market perception. Right. Or they could be used in coordinated harassment campaigns targeting a company or its staff online. And maybe most insidiously, these seemingly legitimate AI personas can be used for sophisticated phishing or social engineering. Imagine an AI sock puppet connecting with your employee on LinkedIn, building rapport over weeks with AI-generated messages, before finally making the malicious requests for information or access. It's much harder to detect than a generic phishing email.
Yeah, the long con, powered by AI personas. Okay, these likeness manipulation tactics, impersonation, appropriated likeness, sock puppeting, they cover a lot of ground. And you can see why they're prevalent, right? Human data, faces, voices, writing styles. It's all over the internet, providing the raw material.
Exactly. The training data is abundant, unfortunately. And the tools to do this, from deep fake apps to large language models for generating profiles, are just becoming more and more accessible.
Okay, so beyond manipulating people, the study also found tactics focused on creating fake things or fake events.
That's right. This falls under the headings of falsification and counterfeit.
Falsification and counterfeit, what's the difference there?
So falsification is basically using GenAI to create fake events, fake objects, maybe fake documents, and then presenting them as if they were real.
Like making up news.
Exactly. That's a big part of it. Generating entirely synthetic news articles describing things that never happened. Or creating AI images purporting to show, say, an explosion or a natural disaster that isn't real but looks convincing enough to spread online during a crisis. Remember those AI images related to the Israel-Hamas conflict that went viral?
Yeah, some were hard to distinguish from real photos.
That's falsification. It's about fabricating reality itself at the content level. Could also be creating fake scientific data or fake historical records.
Okay, creating fake reality. What about a counterfeit?
Counterfeit is more specific. It's about using GenAI to imitate existing real things, brands, artistic styles, specific products, documents, and trying to pass off the imitation as authentic.
Ah, like fake designer handbags, but digital.
Sort of, yeah. It could be generating a fraudulent website that perfectly mimics your bank's login page, using AI to get the design and text just right.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Very. Oh. Or creating fake logos and branding materials that look identical to a real company's. Generating counterfeit goods with AI-designed packaging or labels. The study mentioned things like fake replica websites for tools like Google's Bard or OpenAI's ChatGPT popping up.
Trying to trick users into using a malicious version.
Exactly. Or even using AI to generate text for fake books that appear on Amazon, sometimes copying heavily from existing authors that blends into plagiarism too. But the intent is often counterfeit, passing it off as a legitimate product.
So falsification creates fake reality, counterfeit creates fake versions of real brands, products, sites. How do these hit businesses?
Directly. Falsification can be used to spread damaging rumors. Imagine a fake news article claiming your company had a massive data breach or an environmental disaster.
Reputation nightmare.
Totally. Or creating fake invoices or contracts used in fraud schemes. Counterfeit directly attacks your brand integrity and potentially your revenue. If AI makes it easier to create convincing fake versions of your products or fake websites that steal customer logins.
Yeah, that's lost sales, lost trust, potential legal liability.
All of the above. It means businesses need really robust brand monitoring, scanning the web for AI-generated copies of their logos, websites, product listings, and stronger authentication for everything, from documents to customer interactions, because the fakes are getting so good.
Okay. So AI can make fake people, fake events, fake products.
Right.
What about just using AI to do things at massive scale or make attacks super targeted?
Right. That brings us to two other key tactics that often work together: scaling and amplification, and targeting and personalization.
The force multipliers, you call them?
Exactly. Scaling and amplification is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Using GenAI to dramatically increase the volume, the speed, or the reach of some kind of content or interaction. Just doing more, faster.
Yeah.
Targeting and personalization is about using AI's ability to process information and generate tailored content to make those interactions or that content highly specific and relevant to a particular individual or group, making it hit home.
And these are often used together.
Very often. GenAI is brilliant at both. Think about spam emails.
Oh.
Old spam was easy to spot: bad grammar, generic messages.
Yeah, the Nigerian prince emails.
Right. But now, AI can generate thousands of phishing emails that are grammatically perfect, use professional tone, and crucially, can be personalized. They might incorporate your name, your job title, details about your company gleaned from LinkedIn, maybe reference a recent project.
Making it look much more legitimate.
Way more legitimate. The study pointed to examples like using models like GPT-3 to just blast state legislators with emails. Each one might have been slightly different, personalized, sounding sincere, achieving a scale of personalized lobbying that was impossible before. And then there are specialized malicious AI tools like WormGPT or FraudGPT that are specifically designed to help criminals craft these highly effective personalized phishing emails or fake messages. They leverage AI to make the social engineering aspect much more potent,
So traditional email filters looking for keywords or bad grammar are just obsolete.
becoming much less effective, yeah. The realism of the text, combined with the personalization and the sheer scale, makes detection much harder.
And you mentioned this links with sock puppeting too.
Yes. Imagine combining scaling and sock puppeting. You can use AI to create not just one fake persona, but thousands, a whole botnet of AI-driven accounts.
Okay.
These botnets can then be used to amplify messages on social media, making disinformation seem like it has widespread support.
Right.
They can interact with real users, leave comments, spread links, all automated and scaled up by AI.
And the targeting aspect means they can aim this activity.
Precisely. AI can analyze user profiles or online discussions to identify specific groups or individuals to target. It can also translate content rapidly and accurately into multiple languages, adapting the messaging for different cultural contexts. This allows disinformation or scam campaigns to go global much more easily.
So for businesses, the relevance here is mainly about these existing threats, spam, phishing, disinformation just becoming supercharged.
That's the core of it. It makes everything harder to defend against. Your employees face more sophisticated phishing attacks. Your brand might be targeted by more effective disinformation campaigns. Your customer service might be swamped by AI-driven bots.
So the defense needs an upgrade too.
Absolutely. You need more advanced security layers. Email filters that look at behavior, not just content. Network monitoring that can spot automated patterns. And crucially, ongoing employee training that emphasizes extreme skepticism and verification procedures, even for communications that seem legitimate and personalized. Trust, but verify, becomes even more critical.
Makes sense. Now, another area mentioned was intellectual property infringement and plagiarism. How does GenAI fit in there?
Well, because these models are trained on vast amounts of existing data, including copyrighted text, images, code, music.
Right, everything they could find online, basically.
Pretty much. They can sometimes be prompted, intentionally or unintentionally, to reproduce that training data, or create works that are substantially similar to copyrighted material, or mimic an artist's unique style very closely.
So using AI to copy stuff.
Essentially, yes. Generating text that lifts heavily from existing books or articles. Creating images in the distinct style of a particular artist without permission. Generating code that replicates proprietary algorithms. The goal here is often profit-selling AI-generated knockoffs or passing off plagiarized content as original.
This must be a huge worry for creators, artists, writers.
It's a massive concern for creative industries, absolutely. But also for any business that relies on unique content, original software, or distinctive branding. It raises really thorny legal and ethical questions about copyright law in the age of AI, the legality of how these models are trained, and who owns the output.
So businesses need to worry about their own IP being infringed by AI.
Yes, and potentially about their use of AI inadvertently infringing on others' IP.
Yeah.
It requires careful consideration of licensing, monitoring for infringement of your own assets, and understanding the provenance of any AI-generated content your business uses.
Okay. Now, the study also specifically called out non-consensual intimate imagery, NCII, and child sexual abuse material, CSAM. These are obviously incredibly serious.
Extremely serious, yes. And their inclusion is vital because it highlights the devastating human impact these technologies can have when misused. Creating or distributing this kind of material is horrific and illegal, full stop, regardless of the tool used. But GenAI, particularly image generation and manipulation capabilities, significantly lowers the barrier for creating realistic fake NCII. It leverages those appropriated likeness capabilities we discussed, taking an image of a real person and using AI to digitally alter it to create non-consensual explicit content.
The so-called undressing apps and services.
Exactly. The study noted the disturbing frequency of this kind of misuse, often linked to goals like harassment, extortion, or monetization on dark web forums. And the potential for AI to be used in generating CSAM is, frankly, too horrific to contemplate in detail. But it's a risk associated with these powerful image generation capabilities.
How does this awful stuff connect back to the business world beyond the clear ethical and legal issues?
While the primary victims are individuals, businesses aren't immune to the fallout. These tactics can absolutely be used to target employees, executives, or people associated with a company as part of targeted harassment campaigns.
Right, aimed at damaging the company through its people.
Precisely. Imagine a disgruntled former employee or a malicious competitor creating and spreading fake NCII, featuring a key executive to cause maximum personal distress and reputational damage to the firm. Businesses need to have very clear policies against harassment, robust reporting channels, and provide support for employees targeted in this way. There's also a responsibility for tech platforms to rapidly detect and remove this content.
Okay. That paints a really comprehensive and frankly quite worrying picture of how GenAI capabilities are being exploited right now. Let's touch on the second category the study identified, compromising GenAI systems themselves. You said this was less common in the real-world data they analyzed.
That's right. Compared to the widespread use of GenAI capabilities to create harmful content or run scams, actual attacks targeting the AI model's internal workings or their data appeared less frequently in the documented incidents during that study period.
But still important to understand, especially for some organizations.
Definitely. These types of attacks are heavily researched in the security community, and they represent a different kind of threat, perhaps more relevant for companies building, deploying, or heavily relying on their own proprietary GenAI systems.
So what are the main ways attackers try to compromise the AI itself?
Well, one major area is prompt injection, and its cousin, jailbreaking.
Okay, messing with the instructions you give the AI.
Essentially, yes. Prompt injection is about crafting clever inputs prompts or embedding malicious instructions within data the AI might process later, like a web page it summarizes. These inputs are designed to manipulate the AI's behavior, tricking it into ignoring its safety rules or instructions.
Making it do something it shouldn't.
Exactly. Making it generate harmful content, reveal sensitive information it processed, or execute unintended actions. Jailbreaking is a specific type of prompt injection focused on bypassing the AI's built-in safety features or ethical guardrails.
Like trying to get it to tell you how to do something illegal.
Precisely. Finding the magic words or the specific phrasing, the jailbreak prompt, that makes the AI override its programming and provide information it's supposed to refuse. Think of it like finding a secret backdoor command.
Okay, tricking the AI through its input. What about attacking the data it learned from?
That's known as poisoning, specifically data poisoning. This is a more insidious attack where adversaries try to tamper with the data used to train the AI model in the first place.
How would they do that?
It could involve subtly introducing errors, biases, or hidden triggers into the vast data sets the AI learns from. If successful, the AI might learn incorrect associations, develop biases that can be exploited, or even have hidden backdoors built into its knowledge that an attacker could trigger later.
So, corrupting the AI's education to make it flawed or controllable.
That's the idea. The study mentioned tools like Nightshade as an example being explored in this space, tools that allow artists to add almost invisible perturbations to their digital images. If these poisoned images are scraped and used to train an AI, the goal is that the AI model might learn distorted representations, potentially causing it to generate garbage outputs if asked to mimic that artist's style later. It's a defensive use case, but illustrates the poisoning concept.
Fascinating. Deliberately polluting the data well. What else?
Then you have attacks focused on stealing the AI secrets. Things like data exfiltration, privacy compromise, and model extraction.
Sounds like data theft.
It is. Data exfiltration is about illicitly getting hold of the sensitive or proprietary data the AI was trained on. Privacy compromise is exploiting vulnerabilities to make the AI reveal private information about individuals that might be embedded in its training data, like accidentally spitting out someone's personal details it learned.
Aches.
And model extraction is essentially stealing the AI model itself, its architecture, its parameters, the weights that represent its learning. This is valuable intellectual property, and stealing it could allow rivals to copy the model or analyze it for weaknesses.
Like stealing the secret sauce recipe for the AI?
Exactly that. These attacks go after the core assets of AI developers and the companies deploying these models.
And as you said, the primary concern here is for businesses actually building or maybe heavily customizing their own AI models.
Generally, yes. If your company is investing millions in developing a unique GenAI model, protecting it from poisoning, extraction, and injection attacks is absolutely critical. It requires specialized AI security expertise, robust testing, including adversarial testing, where you deliberately try to break your own AI safely secure data pipelines, and treating your model architecture like top-secret IP.
But for the average business just using off-the-shelf AI tools?
Well, it's good to be aware these vulnerabilities exist because an attack on a tool you rely on could affect you. The study's data really emphasizes that the more immediate day-to-day threat for most businesses right now is dealing with the output of readily available GenAI. The realistic scams, the scaled-up phishing, the disinformation campaigns, using these tools to target you, your employees, or your customers.
Okay, that's a really important distinction to keep reinforcing. The threat landscape has different layers. So let's try to bring all these pieces together. Looking at the whole picture from the study, what are the big overarching insights for businesses trying to navigate this? How can they use this knowledge?
I think there are several critical takeaways. First, it really drives home the accessibility problem. We touched on this, but it's worth repeating. Most of the real-world misuse documented doesn't require super advanced hacking skills.
Right, it's using the easy-to-use tools.
Exactly. Leveraging the user-friendly interfaces, the low cost, the wide availability. This drastically lowers the barrier to entry for malicious actors. You're not just defending against sophisticated state actors anymore. You're potentially up against lone individuals or small groups using powerful tools off the shelf. The pool of potential adversaries is just much bigger and more diverse.
So the sophistication isn't in breaking the AI, it's in the clever, malicious use of easily accessible AI.
That seems to be the dominant pattern right now, which leads to the second big insight. GenAI is largely amplifying old threats.
Making existing problems worse.
Massively worse. It's not necessarily inventing entirely new categories of crime or manipulation that we'd never seen before, but it's taking familiar threats, phishing, financial fraud, disinformation, impersonation, brand damage, harassment, and making them exponentially more powerful.
How so?
By making them more scalable, more realistic, more personalized, and cheaper and faster to execute. It's like giving traditional criminals and manipulators a toolkit of superpowers. The basic scam might be the same, but the AI-powered version is far more effective and harder to detect.
Like fighting the same old battles, but the opponent suddenly has vastly superior weaponry.
That's a perfect analogy. And the third key theme emerging from the study is the profound issue of the blurring line of authenticity.
Harder to tell what's real.
Exactly. The sheer ease with which highly realistic synthetic content, text, images, audio, soon video can be created and disseminated is eroding our ability to trust digital information. Even when AI content isn't explicitly illegal or malicious, like undisclosed AI-generated marketing copy or mass-produced spammy articles, it pollutes the information ecosystem and makes it harder to discern genuine human expression or factual reporting. This degrades trust overall.
And that leads to that liar's dividend idea.
Precisely. When fakes become commonplace and easy to create, it becomes easier for actual wrongdoers to dismiss real evidence against them. A genuine recording, a verified document by simply claiming, oh, that's just an AI fake.
Shifting the burden of proof.
In a really damaging way. It forces us to spend enormous effort verifying things that should be obviously true and allows liars to muddy the waters. It's a huge societal cost.
Okay, so we have accessible tools lowering the bar for attackers, old threats getting supercharged, and the very idea of digital authenticity being challenged. Given all that, what can businesses actually do? How do we respond?
Yeah, it's daunting, but there are definitely steps businesses need to take. It requires a strategic response, recognizing this isn't just a technical IT problem, it's a human problem, an organizational challenge.
Let's break down some practical areas based on what we've learned.
Okay, first and foremost, education and awareness for everyone in the organization, especially employees.
Training.
Yes, but not the old-style security awareness training. It needs to be updated specifically for AI-driven threats. Employees need to understand what deepfake audio or video calls might actually sound or look like. They need to know that phishing emails won't necessarily have typos anymore. They might be perfectly written and highly personalized.
Building that critical thinking muscle for the AI age.
Exactly. Teaching skepticism. Reinforcing verification procedures for any unusual requests, especially those involving money transfers or sensitive data, even if they appear to come from the CEO via email or even a video message. Showing real-world examples of these scams and training can make a big difference. Your people are often the first and sometimes last line of defense against social engineering.
Makes sense. Training needs to keep pace. What's next?
Second, enhancing technical safeguards. Your existing security stack probably needs an upgrade.
How so?
Well, email security needs to go beyond simple keyword or sender reputation filters. Look for solutions that use behavioral analysis, maybe even AI detection models, to spot anomalies suggestive of sophisticated phishing. Identity verification needs to be stronger. Maybe multi-factor authentication is mandatory for certain actions, or perhaps even using pre-agreed verbal code words for high-stakes requests made electronically. Network monitoring tools need to be tuned to detect patterns of AI-driven activity. like unusual scaling of communications or botnet behavior.
Bolstering the digital defenses.
Right. And if you are one of those companies building or heavily relying on your own AI, then investing in that specialized AI security, adversarial testing, model security, data pipeline integrity is absolutely non-negotiable.
Got it. What else?
Third, businesses need to get serious about proactive content and brand monitoring. You can't just sit back and wait for problems to surface.
Actively looking for trouble.
In a way, yes. Actively monitoring online platforms, social media, forums, marketplaces, news sites, maybe even the dark web for signs of your brand, products, or people being targeted by AI misuse.
Like what specifically?
Looking for fake social media accounts impersonating your executives using AI-generated profile pics. Detecting if AI is being used to generate negative disinformation or defamatory content about your company. Spotting counterfeit versions of your products being sold online with AI-written descriptions or AI-generated imagery. Identifying phishing sites that use AI to perfectly mimic your legitimate website.
Finding the fakes before they do too much damage.
Exactly. Early detection allows for quicker mitigation, takedown requests, warnings to customers, legal action. And ironically, AI-powered monitoring tools might actually be needed to effectively scan the vastness of the internet for these AI-generated threats.
Using AI to fight AI misuse.
It seems increasingly necessary. Fourth area. Think about internal policy and transparency regarding AI.
Rules for using AI within the company.
Partly, yes. Having clear guidelines for employees on the acceptable and responsible use of GenAI tools for work purposes can prevent accidental data leaks or misuse. But just as importantly, think about transparency outwards.
Telling customers when you're using AI.
Potentially, yes, where it's relevant and could impact trust. In a world where authenticity is under attack, businesses that are open and honest about their own use of AI, say in customer service chatbots or for generating marketing content, might build more trust than those who try to hide it. It signals you're not trying to deceive people. Avoid using AI deceptively yourself.
Lead by example on authenticity.
It could be a competitive advantage in the long run. And finally, number 5, prepare for disinformation campaigns.
Assume you might be targeted.
Given how easy GenAI makes it to create and spread believable lies at scale, businesses need to assume they could become targets of coordinated disinformation campaigns. These might aim to damage your reputation, manipulate your stock price, sow discord among employees, or turn customers against you.
So have a plan.
Absolutely. A well-defined, practiced incident response plan specifically for handling AI-fueled disinformation. Who's on the crisis comms team? How do you quickly verify or debunk fake content when it appears? What are your trusted channels for communicating accurate information rapidly to stakeholders, employees, customers, investors, the media? In a fast-moving disinformation attack, speed and clarity of response are everything.
That's a comprehensive list. Education, tech upgrades, monitoring, policy, and planning. It really underscores that this is an ongoing adaptation, not a one-time fix.
Definitely. And the study itself, while super valuable, had its limitations, right? It's important context.
Good point. What were those limitations?
Well, as we mentioned, it was based on reported incidents, mostly from media coverage and public sources between early 23 and early 24.
So it might miss stuff that wasn't reported.
Exactly. There's likely a reporting bias towards more sensational or publicly visible cases. Covert misuse, things companies manage to contain internally, or attacks that simply weren't discovered yet, those wouldn't be in the data set. The true scale of misuse could be larger.
And the landscape changes so fast.
Incredibly fast. That's the other limitation. GenAI capabilities are exploding. New models, new features, wider access. It's constant. A snapshot from early 2024 is incredibly useful for understanding the current immediate threats. But new tactics could emerge very quickly. What was rare then might be common now or next year.
So the picture is always evolving.
Always. And one final point they noted was that their data set, reflecting that time frame, leaned heavily on text and image generation examples.
Because those tools were more mature then.
Right. As the more complex multimodal AI, the stuff that seamlessly blends video, audio, text generation becomes more powerful and accessible.
Like Sora and similar video models.
Exactly. We might see shifts in the types of misuse tactics that become most prevalent. Maybe more sophisticated video deepfakes, or AI-generated interactive scams using multiple modalities.
So this study gives us a vital baseline of the immediate threat, but we need to stay vigilant because it's not a static picture.
That's the perfect way to frame it. It tells us where the danger is right now, based on real data, which is essential for prioritizing defenses. But adaptation and ongoing awareness are key.
Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive, The key takeaway seems to be that generative AI misuse isn't some distant future threat. It's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. It's here.
And interestingly, the most common forms aren't necessarily super complex hacks on the AI itself. It's more about using the surprisingly accessible capabilities of these tools
Often the low-hanging fruit.
to make existing threats like fraud, disinformation, impersonation, and harassment much, much more effective, realistic, and scalable.
That's right. The ease of access lowers the bar for bad actors, while the quality and scale of the output bypasses old defenses and erodes trust by blurring that line between real and fake.
And tackling this isn't just about better technology.
No, it's much broader. It demands a real shift in awareness for everyone. Updated training, yes. Better security tools, yes. But also proactive monitoring, clear internal policies, and concrete plans for dealing with threats that fundamentally exploit human trust and perception.
It's a challenge that really requires constant vigilance, doesn't it? From big companies all the way down to us as individuals navigating the internet.
Absolutely. Protecting ourselves, our businesses, our society requires understanding how these new tools change the game, understanding the tactics, the goals, and the impact on trust.
It adds this whole new layer of complexity we all have to deal with.
It really does.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. As GenAI keeps making it easier, cheaper, faster to create incredibly convincing fakes and spread them everywhere, how do we actually build and maintain a digital world where trust is still possible?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
What responsibility does each of us as individuals, as employees, as businesses have in verifying what we encounter online and maybe in demanding more transparency? How do we share that burden?
A question that will likely define much of our digital future.
Something to think about as you continue your own deep dive into this rapidly changing landscape.